So I was asked to come here and talk about this movie, Bombshell, and I have to be honest with you. When I was approached, I thought, Hedy? Who's Hedy? You know, I'd never heard of this person. I didn't even know if it was a man or a woman, to be honest with you. And I was thinking about, I'm going to talk about old movies and actresses and all this nostalgia. So I'm not a history or movie buff. I don't know anything about these old movies. I thought, this is not for me. This is not my thing. I said, I don't think I want to do this. But then I was given some more information, and I was told, well, this kind of has an engineering or a geeky angle to it, which kind of piqued my interest because I have an engineering background, and found out that this lady, Hedy Lamarr, she really was an amazing person. And I was really impressed with what she did, because mainly something that happened back in the 40s, an idea she came up with, a lot of this developed and evolved into things we're still using today, things that you use in the home. And what piqued my interest again was really because of things we use in our company and our customers use and we use in our business. So what business is that? I'm with Anderson Hauser. We're the people for process automation. What is that all about? Well, I'll talk to you, give you a real quick lesson or history of what Anderson Hauser is. We are a global company. Our global headquarters are in Switzerland, but we have U.S. headquarters, or actually North American headquarters, right here in Greenwood, Indiana, right up the road. So if you drive up 31 to go to the mall in Greenwood, you're basically going to go right past our campus. We have several buildings there. We've been growing and expanding for the last few years. And what we do, we manufacture instruments. So when you think about what kind of instruments, is it musical instruments? No. Surgical instruments? No. There's all kinds of instrument panels and in your airplanes, in your car, but that's not what we do. We do instruments for process automation. So we measure things like flow, level, pressure, and temperature, and these are sold into the industrial world. And into the process industries, such as chemical, oil and gas, food and beverage, you can see up here, these are the type of customers that use our products. So what do we mean when we refer to process automation? Let's go back here. There's companies, large companies, worldwide, global companies that use our products. You see an example there of quite a few of our customers. But just to give you a real relatable example, you know, when you drink your can of Coke, that has to go through a process, believe it or not. It's an involved process involving the water, the syrup, the CO2, and all that has to be controlled. So we're helping companies like Coke produce their product. It's going through our instrumentation. Actually, you see up here all these little circles that are all over the place. Those are different points where measurements are being taken by our instruments. So that's what we do. Another example might be a brewing process. So say your favorite beverage, canned beverage, went through a brewing process. You know, some people brew at home. You have a little thing in your basement where you make a little bit of home brewed beer. And that's all manual, and you can do that on a very small scale, but if you need to crank out a few million kegs of beer a year, you're going to have something a lot larger scale and controlled. So that's what we help these customers do. We use our instrumentation to do that. And again, here's a lot of companies around the world that trust us in their processes with our product, producing products you use every day. You may not even think about it. So when you go to the grocery store, you go to the checkout line, you're putting all that on the table there to pay, you're going to see up here there's a lot of products you probably recognize that are made using Anderson Hauser products. So again, a lot of people trust us. Even the company you may recognize, may have heard of, Eli Lilly. They're a large instrumentation user as well, not just Anderson Hauser, but other brands. But in this picture, if you look real hard, you can see some of our products mounted in their facilities, so that's just something you may be able to relate to there as well. So then the question is, well, how does this all relate to Hedy Lamarr, the lady that's in the feature of the film, Bombshell? Well, she was an actress, of course, but what she came up with was this invention that really led to a lot of technologies that we use today, like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and even your cellular technology for mobile phones. And in the world of instrumentation, in the industrial world, there's a lot of companies that work together to try to standardize on these wireless communication methods. So there's companies that get together, including Anderson Hauser, and they set these international standards. And when you look down in their documentation and find what it's based on, and it refers directly to this frequency hopping method of communication. This is what is talked about in this movie tonight. So you're going to hear a lot about that, and it's still being used today in all the products that are being produced. So this kind of is an example of, if you could take radio waves and see them, there's actually devices that can produce a visual image of what radio waves look like. This shows that those communication signals can be organized and set up so they don't interfere with each other and they're secure. So that's kind of what this image here is showing you. Oops. And even with some of the products, personal products that you use in your home, think about your wireless LAN you have at home. There's standards that have been set. You hear a lot about these different jumbles of numbers, 802.11a, 11b, 11g. And you're like, what does that mean? Well, these are just standards they use for communication that is used in Wi-Fi. And so if you look, even in this PC magazine you pick up at the newsstand, it talks about the history, and it goes all the way back, showing the origination of all this technology. Really started with Hedy Lamarr and her partner George Enthil. And then really the next thing that happened was in the 50s, the military started using this, and they're going to talk a lot about that in this film as well. You'll get to hear about that. So if you think about it, what you have, if you have Wi-Fi in your home, that's really traced back to Hedy. A lot of those standards, you look at that router that you bought in the store, whether it was Target or Best Buy or whatever, and you see those standards down there, those are all developed from this initial invention that you're going to hear about in the movie. In the world of industrial communications, like we work in, we have, these are all of our instruments down here that are installed in the plant. This is just a wiring diagram, and some are wired, but some are wireless, and they use this communication method. Here's an example. It's a success story we had with a steel company. We have all of our instruments that were installed in their plant, and they use this wireless communication method, and you see it referred to as frequency hopping. It's highlighted here in this story. So again, it's still being used today, the same concept that was developed, or the invention from Hedy. Even out in remote applications, like where they're drilling for natural gas, wireless is very important. So this is producing product that's coming into your home that's being used to heat your home. So that's very important that we have that secure communication. A lot of products out there that are using radio. You see again this frequency hopping mentioned. This is all coming from, again, the invention that you're going to see in this movie. A lot of industrial networks using this. It's called a wireless HART. But in plants, we have the wireless networks that are using HART, but also Bluetooth. I'm sure a lot of you use Bluetooth every day. Wi-Fi, and even global system for mobile, which is your cell phone. So a lot of different wireless methods used in industry today that all kind of came from this invention from Hedy Lamarr. Even down to the personal level in the plants. We're talking about connections directly to tablets and phones and laptops. And these devices use a technology that came from this invention. Your phones are really combining a lot of features these days and can do a lot of things, but what's really making them useful are the apps that are running on them, and we have those now that allow for this communication directly to our devices in the plants, but they're very, very secure. And we're coming out with brand new products all the time that use these apps. This is a flow meter, for example, and here's one that's a device for measuring level. And you'll notice it doesn't even have buttons or a display now because everything is done on the tablet or the phone. So all these communications methods, again, coming from this invention you're going to hear about in the movie. So this is happening today. The plants, they really couldn't run and produce the products you buy without this mobile technology, but what's coming tomorrow? What's next? You're really talking about something called Industry 4.0. Some of you may have heard of that. This is really talking about the fourth industrial revolution that's already started. First three being steam, electricity, and computing, but now we're getting into the connected world, and that's where this wireless really comes into play. It's very, very important. And this revolution is really about data. It's about getting all this information out of these devices. You hear about the Internet of Things. Well, that's all about getting data up into the cloud. So what I want to do real quick, if you want to play along, we got an exercise here, audience participation. If you want to get out your phone and just go to your home screen, get in settings. So tap on your settings and tap Wi-Fi. And when you go to Wi-Fi, you should see one of our products right there. So I brought one in. You may not be able to see it, but it's plugged in and sitting right down here. And it has Wi-Fi. So your phone may be able to pick that up and see that now. And if you knew the IP address and the serial number of the device and the secure access code, you'd actually be able to connect to that device and change parameters or settings, but we have security built into that. But now, with that, you've actually witnessed or you've gotten a taste of and experienced just to scratch the surface of the industrial Internet of Things. So that's something we're doing today and providing to the marketplace. And really what that is all about, again, all these devices we make and our competitors make, it's really about just pushing a lot more information and data out that it can be used. And again, this being the plant and the devices at the lower level, it's about connectivity. And that's these connection methods that we're talking about, going up into the cloud and then customers being able to, anywhere in the world, access that data. And then home, a lot of you have home systems, Wi-Fi, and you've got security systems, video cameras, you've got your smart TVs, you can open and close your garage door, turn lights on and off. But a lot of this is happening, and you could sit here today, probably pull out your phone and connect to something in your home. It happens all the time. A lot of us have that capability. But the devices are getting smarter all the time, artificial intelligence. So you might be sitting here thinking, do I have milk in the fridge? I need some for breakfast. So if you could connect to your fridge, it's got a camera, look in there and see, hey, you're down to almost out of milk. Now you need to stop on the way home from the movie and pick up some milk at Kroger, right? Well, the next phase is really intelligent appliances. They're going to see for themselves that you're low. They're going to place an order with Kroger, have it delivered, and it's going to be sitting there in a cold container on your porch when you get home, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's thinking for you. So that's an intelligent device. You know, another idea might be, you've seen these robots that go around and vacuum your floors. You know, those are getting more intelligent. They can figure out where to go. They learn the floor in your house or the floor plan. But they're not all that smart yet, because you might be watching a movie and have popcorn, drop a piece on the floor, and here comes your vacuum to clean it up, and you're like, it doesn't quite know the 10-second rule yet, so you might want to eat that piece of popcorn, and it's trying to vacuum it up. So, you know, they still have to learn a little bit about the right things to do, okay? But really, again, all this connectivity is leading to cloud computing, and we couldn't do this without secure wireless communications, and we really have Hedy and George to thank for this. One last piece, one other message. I just want to point out, if any of you have youngsters, you know, 7th, 8th graders, maybe even 6th graders, that might be interested in things like this and a career in this direction, we have a career and community education forum every year. It's coming up in September, and we open up our doors. We do this with a lot of other companies in Johnson County. It's not just Anderson Hauser. Kids can come, talk to some of our employees, our young engineers, learn about careers, and maybe this would be something they want to do someday. It would really interest them. So just want to make you aware of that. There was a video about that just this week posted on the Aspire Twitter page. They probably have it on their website as well. So if you want to go see that, the video is of last year's event. You can learn about all the things that happened at that event. So we, like I said, bring all those kids in. We had about 1,000 people at the event last year. It was a large undertaking, but it's a great event for these kids. So that's it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I think you're really going to enjoy this movie. Thank you.